So I'm now going to show how to do 2 fractional stitches in the same square. If you look here, you can see that there's 2 symbols in this square. There's a little triangle top left and the square bottom right. So that shows that we're going to do 2 3/4 stitches in opposite corners of the square. So I've just done this final cross stitch here in the nose. And I'll come up, we'll do the first 3/4 stitch exactly the same as how we did before. Come up here in the top left of the square, come back through the middle and check that you're in between all 2 strands on each side, both horizontally and vertically. There we are. And then up this corner and down that corner, and that forms our 3/4 stitch exactly as we did before. So I'm going to finish that thread off and change to a black thread for the other stitch. So I've threaded my needle with the black thread to do the other stitch in the square. So this one's in the bottom right of the square, so I'm going to bring my needle up here and we're going to do exactly the same but in the other corner. So I'm going to bring this into the center. I'm aiming to put it under that top stitch I did before and in through the same hole that I created when I did the other stitch, the other quarter stitch here. So again, that might take a bit of poking around, but you can just slip your needle through the center like that. Do the loop start at the back. Now come up here at the side, at the corner here, and go up to this corner to make the full 3/4 stitch. So what you've seen is that I've literally done exactly the same, 2 full 3/4 stitches in each corner. That means that I've got 2 parallel full stitches here, and you see I've got a red one that I did just now and then the black one just there, and that looks absolutely fine. Don't worry about having the 2. It means that both stitches then show up and you don't have to choose which color you want to show up more. Now you can do 1 3/4 stitch and 1/4 stitch, which is like this. If I unpick that, it would look like this. You've got the 3/4 stitch in red and the quarter stitch in black here. The trouble with doing that is that the quarter stitch pretty much hardly shows up at all. So I do recommend doing the 2 3/4 stitches. I personally think it looks much the best. So I'm going to redo this central stitch. You'll notice that I've now got the 2 top stitches in this square running from left to right, where the top stitches of all my full cross stitches run from right to left. That's absolutely fine. Some people have been concerned about that. You don't need to have those running in the same direction as your full cross stitches. The angle of the stitches is dictated by where the stitch is placed in the pattern. So I'm going to come up and do it again for the eye. We've got the same thing here. Ignore these lines, which are backstitch, which we'll do later. Just looking at the symbols. So we've got this little square again for black in the corner of this eye. So it's in the bottom left of this square. So I come up and bring my needle up. Doesn't want to go. There we are. Through the bottom left of the square. Go in through the middle for the quarter stitch, in here and then across to make the full 3/4 stitch. I'll then finish off that thread and start the next one for the other stitch in the eye. I've threaded the gold thread for the last fractional stitch in our piece, which is this star symbol here in the eye. So again, we come up top right because the symbol was in the top right of the square. Come back down through the hole we already made in the center for this stitch, making sure we go under this full half stitch rather than over it. Do the loop start at the back. Come up either top left or bottom right, to make the full half stitch running parallel to the one we did before in the other colour. And those two stitches will just lie next to each other, and it means you can really see each part of the colour. So these fractional stitches are just used to add a little bit more detail. So here it's making the eye of the dragon, and it means that we can see the pupil of the dragon and the golden iris of the dragon without having to make the dragon's eye absolutely enormous if we made it all out of full cross stitches. So that's how you do fractional cross stitches, and we're next going to get started on the back stitch.